Hey guys, Crispy Bacon here with a new build for you. This one's going to be called Rolling Thunder. This is seriously one of the most fun builds I've ever used, and it takes a bit to set up, so let's get to it. The main goal with this build was to use the 4th Horseman exotic shotgun as much as possible throughout an activity, so that means that our build here is going to focus on maximizing the 4th Horseman's potential with damage, reload speed, and ammo. All the while, we will be making some incredible explosions with the Severance Enclosure exotic chest piece, as well as some Warmind cell mods. We're going to be using a lot of different pieces of equipment to maximize this setup, including Warmind cells, so let's talk about what's needed. For this build, we'll need a 7th Seraph weapon in both our kinetic and our heavy slot. In our energy slot will be the 4th Horseman exotic shotgun, and for our exotic armor, we'll be using the Severance Enclosure exotic chest piece. For mods, take a look at the following sheet that appears on the screen to make sure you have all the mods required, and we'll go over each one as we talk more about the build. And lastly, for stats, we want to prioritize mobility, discipline, and intellect. So the 4th Horseman is going to be the main show for this build, and that means we need to sustain it throughout an entire activity, which can sometimes be difficult when you're using a special weapon. Just a quick note, the masterwork for the 4th Horseman is not required, but definitely helps out with this build. The 4th Horseman has incredible damage capabilities, but its one weakness is its reload speed, and even with the masterwork catalyst, it can sometimes take a long time to reload the weapon. So that's where the main synergy here comes into play, and that's with the bottom tree striker subclass called Code of the Juggernaut. The main perk that we're utilizing here is Frontal Assault, which when we melee an enemy with full melee energy, it will actually reload the 4th Horseman completely, reduce its recoil, and then give it a 20% damage buff. This may be the strongest ability to weapon synergy in the game, because Frontal Assault just takes away all of 4th Horseman's downsides and buffs it to a point that makes it just absolutely perfect for DPSing large majors or even bosses. So the main combo here is to go up to an enemy, usually a major or a boss, empty the entire clip of 4th Horseman into that enemy, and then punch them while you have melee ability energy, which will reload the 4th Horseman immediately, give it very little recoil, and then buff its damage by 20%, which on top of 4th Horseman's already huge DPS potential, this combo is just absolutely unstoppable. So the Warmind cell mods with this build were really set up to help make sure that we can melee enemies as much as possible with our melee ability, so that we can do this 4th Horseman melee combo as much as possible. First off, we'll be using Tyrant's Surge, which makes it so that anytime we deal arc damage with our melee grenade or super, it spawns a Warmind cell. We're comboing this with Strength of Rasputin, which means that every time we pick up a Warmind cell, we'll get 50% of our melee ability cooldown back immediately. Since it takes 2 Warmind cells to get our melee ability back, we'll be using Blessing of Rasputin, which means that when we collect that first Warmind cell, it will increase the chance of a Warmind cell spawning next time we get a Seraph weapon kill. So with this combo, we hit an enemy with our melee, collect that Warmind cell, switch to a Seraph weapon, get 1 kill, and we will almost guaranteed have our melee back immediately. And then we're free to start our combo again, where we use 4th Horseman, punch some enemies, get some extra damage, reload the weapon, and you know the rest. But I wanted to take it one step further with the Warmind cell mods, so I added Modular Lightning, which means that every time we collect those Warmind cells, we'll actually be creating a burst of arc energy around us, and since we're in close quarters, this is going to be extremely effective at taking out large groups of mobs in a close quarters area. So it's absolute carnage in close quarters at the moment. We've got our 4th Horseman tearing through enemies, we've got our Arc Lightning arcing between enemies and taking out large groups, so how can it get better? So since we're going to be meleeing things with full melee energy so often, Severance Enclosure is the ideal exotic armor to use. Severance Enclosure makes it so that when we get a kill with our melee ability, there's actually a large explosion that comes out of our character, and this actually gets bigger the stronger the enemy we're killing. So if we're killing a major with a melee attack, that explosion is even larger, but it's already pretty strong to begin with. This explosion can seriously clear rooms, and since we're going to be using a powered melee all the time, this will come in handy more often than you think. But it's actually got one more effect, which is when we finish an enemy, that same explosion will happen. So hey, why don't we utilize some finishers, make this build a bit more flashy, and really benefit the special ammo economy here. With the special finisher mod, whenever we finish an enemy with a finishing ability, we actually use our super energy to gain special ammo drops from the enemy that we use the finisher on. This means that anytime we have even a third of our super, we can finish an enemy, create a giant explosion from that enemy's body, and then gain some special ammo from that, which just fuels our 4th Horseman. Now where's that super energy coming from? Well, I'm glad you asked. We've got the Pump Action mod on our butt cape, which makes it so that whenever we kill an enemy with the 4th Horseman, we're actually gaining bonus super energy. So we have this huge circle of synergies going on here, where we take the 4th Horseman, kill some enemies. This gives us extra super energy. That super energy is then used to use finishers, which make huge explosions, and those huge explosions create more special ammo for us that lets us use the 4th Horseman even more. All the while, we're creating huge explosions with our melee abilities, which is also giving us a 20% damage buff on our 4th Horseman or whatever weapon we're using at the time. And then when we're picking up these Warmind cells that we make with our arc abilities and melee kills, we're also creating huge chains of arc lightning between all of our enemies. I think you can see where this power is really coming from with this build. The remaining mods to wrap this up are Special Ammo Finder, which will give us more special ammo from the world drops, Enhanced Impact Induction, which makes it so that when we get damage with our melee ability, it actually gives us Grenade Recharge. Shotgun Reserves, which gives us more shotgun ammo, obviously, and Unflinching Shotgun Aim, which helps us aim our 4th Horseman at an enemy's crit spot. On our legs, we have Special Ammo Scavenger, which when we pick up those additional special ammo bricks, we're actually gaining more ammo. And then past that, any additional mods can be used as long as you have the room for it. But hey guys, that'll about do it for the commentary on this video. I really appreciate you sticking around to the end here. I hope you really enjoyed the build, and I really urge you to give it a try. This is one of the most entertaining builds I've used in a long time, and may be a new staple of mine when it comes to any Vanguard and Gambit activity. I've gotten some great feedback on the last video I did, started this new template where I can get builds out to you faster and more efficiently, and if that's still working for you, let me know in the comments below that you like this type of format, and anything else that you'd like to add to this build. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good one.
There's our Techian. You ready? Watch yourself.
We thank you, Guardian, and we will never forget.